you all so much for coming out this evening. What a wonderful success, Trunk or Treat. Thank you all so much. I want to take this opportunity to welcome One Book, One City. Now I'm going to pass the mic off to the library.
Hi, thank you. I'm Laura from the Powder Springs Library. We're just down the road. We are glad to be here, and the library has all sorts of programs. We have programs for kids, programs for adults, programs for teens, tweens. So I hope you'll come by and see us. And now, I'll turn it over to Miss Julia from the bookworm.
That wasn't enough. Thank you guys so much for coming. Are you guys ready for One Book, One CD Tween Teen Edition? That don't sound like y'all ready. Let me try that again. Are y'all ready for One Book, One City Tween Teen Edition? Before we introduce the lovely Marti Cumas, I wanted to tell, how many of you guys have been to the bookworm? All right, that was still okay. So how many of you guys who haven't been to the bookworm are going to go to the bookworm? Okay, let's try it again. How many of you guys who haven't been to the bookworm are going to go to the bookworm? Thank you. So I'm Julie. I'm the owner of the bookworm. I took over in November 2020. One Book, One City is one of the partnerships we do with the City of Powder Springs as well as Powder Springs Library. We have a teen tween edition. We have an adult edition. We are so excited. And again, this time next year, we will be doing things a little differently for our adult. And we'll be having a full-fledged book fest. So you guys stay tuned for that. But before I pass on the mic, I do want to introduce you to Ms. Lena. Lena is Positively Lena. Lena and I will be doing and hosting a free workshop during the month of November. It's a writing workshop all month long. We still have about 3 spaces left where we are going to write a novel within a month. It's your opportunity to get those writing juices flowing. We will be doing a kickoff with another author, so we're very excited about that. So come to the booth or come to the bookstore to find out some more information. You guys are tired of hearing me talking, so we are going to introduce Miss Marti Cumas, right? Yeah! Come on now, we're going to introduce Miss Marti Cumas, right? Come on, give it up! Okay, so how many of you guys know Takari Tatum? I know that's a familiar name around Powder Springs, right? So Takari Tatum is going to do the honors of bringing Miss Marti Cumas to the stage, okay?
Hello, everybody. So, Ms. Marti Cumas, she is a mom, a teacher, and a creative entrepreneur. She wrote this amazing book called Wild Tea Witch. I really love this book. It's very relatable. It's about a 13-year-old girl who she's just trying to boost her YouTube channel. She's trying to get her YouTube channel off the ground. And she finds out that one day while she's out, she finds out that she's a witch. And none of her other family members are witches, so it comes as a shock to her. So she was trying to fit in, and it wasn't going well for her. A lot of people were being mean. There was a lot of bullying. She met a lot of good friends even, and it shows Black power and Black girl magic. And I really love this book. It holds a special place in my heart. And give it up for Marti Cumas.
Thank you so much. Hold on, I'm gonna try this body mic. Let's see if it works out.
Let's see. Can you? Oh.
Is that? Okay? We're adjusting. I think yes. Okay, great, excellent. So hi, yes, my name is Marti. Whoop. Let's turn all that off so we don't play the feedback game. It's off. Okay, so I'm Marti Cumas. Actually, maybe I'll just do the hand one because it is.
I'm gonna give Miss Marti the hand mic because I'm just gonna step away. But before we do that, can we do that round of applause wasn't good enough for me for Miss Marti Cumas because I know Powder Springs can do a whole lot better than that. So while Marti Cumas is getting adjusted, let's bring Marti Cumas to the stage and give her a Powder Springs welcome.
Okay, there we go. It's good. All right. So hi, yes, my name is Marti Cumas, and I am a mom. I have a 14-year-old and an 18-year-old, and I'm a teacher. I taught elementary school for 13 years. Absolutely love it. And I am a writer. And it's one of my missions in life to make sure that all kinds of kids get really good opportunities to be the main characters of stories. So since I was a teacher for 13 years, I'm always thinking of a very particular kid, like one very particular kid that I know when I'm coming up with my main characters and their problems in stories. And one of the things that this particular kid that I had in mind really, really needed was a way to own her magic. So this entire book series comes out of a desire to be able to help people figure out ways to be able to be their best self and really love themselves as they go. And I mean, who doesn't like magic, am I right? So I was told that it would be okay if I read a little bit. Is that all right? If I read a little bit from The Wild Seed Witch, which is the first book in a whole series that has the same title as the book. Is that all right? Like, you're gonna be okay? Like, you, like Ghostbuster, are you gonna survive it? You think you'd be, okay, you're gonna be all right. Okay, that's good. So I got Takari, thank you so much for that super lovely introduction. I got to, you guys are right, he gave a good part of it. I got to write a book about a kid who wants to be a YouTuber, which, I mean, I kind of want to be a YouTuber, but also I kind of don't want to be famous at the same time, so it's like a little bit of a catch-22. But this girl, Hassani, was just, she had like maybe 12 or 13 subscribers, you know? And she was hoping that if she spent the summer working on her YouTube channel, she might hit 100. You know, she was like really hoping to be able to hit 100, but she wasn't sure she'd be able to. No problem. Well, most of her friends are gone off on summer vacations and stuff like that, so she figured she'd have time to work on it. But her dad comes to pick her up from the weekend. Her parents are recently separated, and she's kind of hoping to be able to get them back together again, but she really doesn't have a plan about that. So, like, good luck. You know what I mean? Like, it maybe work out, maybe it doesn't work out. So one day her dad comes to pick her up, and he is driving a new car. And she's like, oh, Dad, this car looks nice. Like, okay. And he's like, oh, yeah. And it's a convertible. She's like, what? The car is also, and it puts the top down. They're driving, and she has just posted a video. Well, you know how it is when you just posted something on the internet and you think, I just want to, did anybody like it yet? Like, wait, hold, like, did anybody, okay, did I have any views? So that's what she was doing. She was in the car, like, just kind of checking, and somebody was watching her video. But her dad's driving. He, like, looks over at her, he's like, oh, are you on the YouTube? And she was like, yes, Dad, I am on YouTube right now. He was like, oh, yeah. Sandy's really big into social media too. And Hassan is like, who's Sandy? And he's like, oh, Sandy is my friend. Shh, you'll get to meet her today. She'll be at the house when we get there. And Hassan is like, why will she be at the house? And he says, oh, because she lives there now. Well, understandably, Hassani had feelings. Not small feelings, like really, really, really big feelings were coming out of Hassani at that moment. She didn't know what to do. Well, the next thing you know, a bridge in New Orleans is entirely covered with morning glories. They are viney flowers that are just really hard to get out once they get in. And the bridge is so covered with it that it is inoperable, right? She couldn't, like, they couldn't use the bridge. They had to go around and go a different direction. And when Hassani did get to her dad's house, she was not exactly her best self when she met Sandy. And her dad was not cool with that. Her dad was like, wait, you cannot be acting like this. It's not cool. Whatever. She ends up going home, and she thought that at least her mom would be on her side. She's like, Mom! And her mom was like, Hassani Marie Sheck Snyder Jones, whole name, y'all. Whole name was called. That is not who you are. That is not who we are. I'm going to need you to go to your room and remember who you are, and I will talk to you in the morning. Well, y'all, if Hassani had had like a journal, you know, like something she could write her feelings out in, this whole story wouldn't have happened, right? Because she didn't have a journal. But what she did have was a YouTube channel. And she decided that she was going to record herself a rant video just to get, you know, get stuff out, get the feelings out off of her chest. But instead of pressing record, she actually pressed go live. Ooh, So, but, you know, remember, she only had like 12 followers on her channel. Shouldn't be a big deal. And it shouldn't have been a big deal. Except that the next morning, the witches showed up. So I'm going to read you a little bit from that. The next day, a woman with a little pink umbrella showed up at my house at the crack of dawn. My mother always gets up that freakishly early, and I was up because something kept dinging, even though my phone was on silent. It took me a few minutes to figure out that the dinging was coming from my computer. I must have left YouTube open when I collapsed after my rant. The dinging was notifications for makeup on the cheat. I had 81 new followers, 147 new likes, and the count kept climbing. Pretty much all the likes were on the rant video, but my eyeliner tutorial had exactly 1 new like and 1 new comment from a user named Annie Oki. New subby here, love your stuff. I did a bit of me doing your tutorial. I picked up my phone and replied to Annie Oki with a link to the hug gift I've been saving. I was so happy I could have cried. Another ding. My follower count went up by 1 and I ran into the living room shouting, triple digits, I broke the triple digits. Only to realize that my mom was not sitting alone in her pajamas with a cup of tea and her journal. She was fully dressed, sitting next to a plump lady with dark brown skin and straight black hair. The lady was wearing a pink suit with a matching hat, and a pink flowered umbrella rested against one knee. My mother had even put out an arrangement of purple flowers and put saucers under their mugs on the coffee table. It looked nice. I, on the other hand, was still wearing the same jeans and t-shirt I had worn to my dad's house. My hair was all stiff and smushy because I'd fallen asleep without a satin scarf, and I was pretty sure the right side of my face was plastered with drool. Sorry, I said. I didn't know you had company. The two of them stood up, the pink lady rising so gracefully that she didn't even disturb her umbrella. My mom gestured toward the guest. Actually, she came to see you, Hassani. I wasn't going to wake you up, but since you are, this is Aimée Lefleur. She's from Les Belles Demoiselles Pensionnat des Sorcières in Vacherie. I raised an eyebrow. My mom spoke French? Belle Demoiselle is a finishing school for talented young ladies like you, Miss Lefleur said. I came to offer you a position in our program this summer. I blinked. Even in English, it didn't make sense. Me? Talented? I was good at a lot of stuff. Math, comics, finding my mom's keys, but nothing you would call a talent except, like, for makeup? I blurted out. Miss Lefleur had seen my eyeliner video. For magic, my mom said. She said it gently, like maybe I might be afraid or something, but legit, I was thinking what a shame it was that she wasn't there because of my dollar store eyeliner 101 video. Miss Lefleur's makeup was perfect, but she was probably using really expensive products. It's hard to get really smooth lines when you're working with the stuff from the dollar store, and I can do it pretty much every time. Skills, yo. You see, the trick is you gotta kind of roll it around in your hand to warm it up, but you leave the cap on until Hassani! My mom popped me out of my eyeliner reverie. I just want to make sure you understand that Miss Lefleur isn't talking about pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Belle Demoiselle isn't like circus camp for stage magicians. I beg to differ, Miss Lefleur said smoothly. All girls can do anything they choose to. If Hassani wants to be a stage artist or a street performer, that would be entirely up to her. Yes, my mom said. But my point is that Miss LaFleur isn't talking about sleight of hand. She says you can do real magic. My mom was holding my hands, looking into my eyes. I was looking back at her, but I wasn't. Real magic? All right, we'll pause there. We're good? Yeah? All right, excellent. That's excellent. So, yeah, I actually don't even know how much time do we have up here?
You still got about 9 minutes.
Okay, we have 9 minutes. All right. So then, I would love to know if there are people out in the audience who have questions about being an author, about like the kinds of books that I like to read, about the kind of books that you like to read, anything at all. And a thing that you should know while I am letting people pull their questions together is that I am a teacher. And I am not afraid of the silence. So, true story. Here, pre-question. Does anybody know how long it takes the average person to form an intelligent question? And by intelligent question, I mean one that's related to the things that came before it. Any guesses? How long does it take a person to form an intelligent question? Well, how long do you think? 10 minutes, 10 seconds, 10 minutes. Excellent. That is an excellent guess. How long do you think? 2 minutes. Okay. How long do you think? 1.5 minutes. Excellent guess. 6.5 seconds. Those are wonderful. I think Takari hit the nail on the head. It is exactly 2 minutes. Does anybody know how long it takes the average teacher or presenter before they move on and just answer the question? What do you think? She wants to ask me a question. Wait, you'll hold it. I'm going to call you first. How long do you think it takes? 1 minute? Anybody else? Yeah? How long do you think it takes? 5 minutes. It takes 7 seconds. People get nervous about silence. I don't get nervous about silence. Also, I don't mind vamping. See what I just did? I vamped to give y'all time to come up with your questions. You got it? Okay. So then I gave you 2 minutes to be able to come up with your intelligent questions, and we already have 2 that are waiting. What's your question, my love? Do you want the mic?
Yeah. How many stories have you made?
Oh my gosh, what a perfect first question. How many stories have I made? Well, the answer to that is I have no idea. Because I was making stories when I was small like you, and some of them I've forgotten. However, I can answer the question pretty easily about how many stories I have published, right? So stories that I have published, I now have 13, which is very exciting for me. Wild Tea Witch, Charmed Life, the second book in the series, was my number 13. But by this time next year, I'll have 16 books out, all for kids. Thank you so much. I'm really excited about it. My life goal is 49, so I ain't there yet, but I'm moving. Like, I'm moving in the right direction. All right, yes, and then yes, okay? Whoa, you gotta be on the mic.
How much books will be in the Wild Seed series?
That is an excellent question that I actually don't know the answer to. However, I know that Hassani will have 3 books. So the 3rd book for Hassani will come out in August 2024. I've said that the wrong way so many times I had to pause to think, make sure I was saying it the right way. So in August 2024, the 3rd book that has Hassani as the main character will come out. But we're kind of talking about doing other books in the series that follow the other kids, because there's lots of other kids, and in my head they're all real kids, so I know their lives and their problems, and I'm like, we could do one that's from LaToya's perspective, we can do a book that's from Dee's, but like we can do a lot of people. So then there may be more, but Hassani will have at least 3 books, and the 3rd one comes out in August. Does that answer your question? Would you tell me if it didn't answer your question? Maybe not, because it gets nervous. I'll take it as a yes, but know that you could have told me. I would have tried to fix it. Okay, yes.
How many years you've been making stories?
Ooh, excellent. Oh, it's that. Oh, I figured it out. It's that speaker right there. Okay, so how many years have I been making stories? So I've been making stories probably since I was like 4 or 5. How old are you? 6. Oh, okay, all right. So 4 or 5 is when I started making stories. But when I was 4 or 5, my stories were extra dramatic. Like, extra dramatic. Like, they were like, wow, okay, like that's what's going on. But now I realize that that is a strength and not a weakness, so I lean into it. And Wild Seed Witch does have the drama. Okay, yes. So I'm gonna this and then here. Back to you, okay?
How much books does she have now?
Right now, I have 13 books that are written, but I keep little flash drives. I never throw away any of my stories. So honestly, I probably should go into my flash drives and count up the ones that I haven't tried to publish and see how many there are in there. But 13 right now are the kinds that you can get from the bookstore or the library. 13 of them. Yeah. I do believe that the bookworm, see, I did it again. I do believe that the bookworm is selling many of them. Like I think they got 6 or 7 books. Across the street? Yes.
How much books do you have besides the Wild Seed and the sequel?
Okay, excellent. So I will talk a little bit. I love when kids are excellent at asking marketing questions. You know what I mean? They're like, you're not telling us all the things you have for sale. Tell me more about what you have for sale. Thank you. I appreciate you, young Ghostbuster. What's your name? Kennedy? Okay. Thank you, Kennedy. I will not call you young Ghostbuster anymore. I'll call you Kennedy now. So thank you, Kennedy, for being able to do that for me. So my first series is called Jane Toussaint the Greatest. There's 5 books in that series. It's a chapter book series. It's illustrated. I know I wrote it, but they are hilarious. Those books are very funny. They're about a kindergarten genius who solves all of his problems with a scientific method. And as you can imagine, there are hijinks and it's amusing. And the cat keeps me rolling the whole time in the book. I also have a book called The Little Human, which is a standalone. And it is kind of the opposite of The Little Mermaid. And I love it, if only for the undersea adventuring. I absolutely love that book. I also have a series called The Seeds of Magic, which is about a little girl who finds a chrysalis in her backyard, but instead of incubating a butterfly, her chrysalis makes a dragon. And she ends up kicking off a whole new age of dragons right here, right now. We're good? Okay. All right, excellent. And then I have a couple of standalone books. I have a couple of nonfiction titles, one Women in the Old West, like a couple of other things, and one that I worked on. Do you guys know Zaila Avantgarde? She's a little girl who won the Scripps National Spelling Bee a couple of years ago, and a book record holder. Anyway, I wrote a book with her too. It's also nonfiction. It's pretty cool. All right, yes?
What was your very first book?
My very first book that I wrote, or my very first book that I read? Oh, more specific. My very first book that I published was a book called Jayla and the Wolves. And it is about a little girl who finds a magic mirror in her bedroom one day. She gets curious about it and falls through it and ends up a wolf on the other side. Has to figure out how to get back home. It's pretty cool.
To write stories that have magic and stuff, and I was my next story at school. I was trying to make a wolf.
No, you should totally, because the thing is that like nobody owns ideas. Every time somebody, even if I gave you the same idea, I was like, write a story about a girl who becomes a wolf, and I wrote a story about a girl who becomes a wolf, we would write 2 totally different stories. The idea is not the thing. It's the experience of the person writing it. Like you put a little bit of yourself in it, so like you can't copy ideas. It's not the thing, right? So please write that book, and I hope that I write that story. I hope you do, and if you do, you should go to my website, which is Marti Dumas Books, which makes that easy, right? .com, and on there you can message me. Kids message me their stories all the time. I love to read kids' stories, so if you feel excited and comfortable to share your story, you should totally share it with me. You can do it on my website. Okay, yes?
What's your favorite book that you read?
Ooh. You now have the award for asking the meanest question ever to an author. Because I love to read. So then it's like, what was my favorite book when I was your age? How old are you? 10. A perfect age. Okay. So when I was 10, my favorite book, well, they were fighting between two. I was reading over and over again the Anne of Green Gables series, like just like a ridiculous cycle over and over, the Anne of Green Gables series. And also the Chronicles of Narnia. I was just like, I was just Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, The Horse and His Boy. I was just like doing them over and over again. I was obsessed with those books when I was 10. Right now, I would say that one of my favorite people that I keep going back to over and over again is an author whose name is Sandra Cisneros. And you're about the right age. If you read her, she writes in vignettes and short stories. She doesn't write long things. She'll write a bunch of short things that kind of all go together, right? And so her book, House on Mango Street, might be one that you would also be interested in, but there's parts in it that that just kind of resonate in my soul. Does that answer your question? Your mean question? All right, excellent. Let me get over here, and then 1, 2 again. Okay, and 3. I see you. Okay.
So what influenced you to be an author?
Beautiful, beautiful. So I have always written, but I did not always want to be an author, right? I was a classroom teacher, I told you. And in my classroom, we had our own library because my kids could only go to the libraries on like Tuesdays, you know? So like if they were trying to find something they liked, if they checked out a book, but then they kind of didn't like it, they'd be spending the whole week like not really having a book that they could read. So instead, I made sure that we had hundreds and hundreds of books in our classroom so that like if we were in the middle of math class and somebody was like, I don't really want this book, I'd be like, why are you telling me? Just go get another book. Like, it's fine, just go get it, you know, whatever. So they could spend their time doing whatever. But even with all of that, we were having a hard time for some kids finding the stuff that they liked to read. So I started like kind of putting things in my classroom library. Now fast forward time. I told you, I have a 14-year-old, right? Well, when my 14-year-old was 4 or 5, he said an even more cruel thing than you did. It was even more cruel. He looked at his mother, who is a book lover and a literacy teacher, and he said to me, with his own face, he said to me, I don't really like to read. And I was like, oh, what, child? How could you wound me thusly? You're so like, why would you say that? And then I calmed down, because I told you I'm a little bit dramatic. So I know, right? So I calmed down. I was like, actually, you know what? He's like all my other kids. It's not that he doesn't like to read, it's that he hasn't found what he likes to read yet. But I know him, and I know what he would like to read, so I'll just write it. And I did. That was it. Does that answer your question? It's good? All right, so wait, hold on. We're gonna, because you guys have gotten a couple, and this human back here hasn't gotten it yet, so I'm gonna switch. I know you were 2 and 3, but I'm gonna make you 3 and 4. Okay? So 2.
Will you write books?
Do I like to write books? I love to write books. It's like the best job ever. Okay, I'm gonna pause so I don't squeak there. It's the best job ever. You guys, people pay me money to write down lies. Can you imagine the kind of job where you can like write down lies for a living? I mean, I also write down a lot of truth. There's a lot of real stuff in there too, but you know, people tell you, it's not unusual for people to be excited about you telling the truth, but I can make stuff up and it's amazing. It's an absolutely wonderful job. Okay, yes, now.
What's the best book that you've published?
Oh. So I'm biased, obviously, because I wrote them, right? I think technically the best story that I've ever written, like in terms of structure and like soundness, is actually one that people don't talk about as much. It's the mermaid one, The Little Human. I think it's actually structurally the best. However, every book is not for every person. So if you asking me the question of like, which one do I like the best? It's the one that I wrote for myself, where I was the person. Remember I told you I always have a real person in mind when I'm writing the stories? There's one that I wrote that I was the person I had in mind. And so then, understandably, I like that one the best. And it is actually the one called Jupiter Storm, which is the first book in the Girl with Dragons series. Yeah? Does that answer your question? All right, one more.
Where do you get all your ideas from?
Ooh. So when I was little, I used to get in trouble a lot because I wasn't paying attention. And I was always like noticing things, like this weird leaf on the ground that the first time I saw it, I thought it was a bug, right? But then it turned out to be a leaf. And in my mind, I was like, oh, okay, maybe it actually transformed, right? But then people would be like, Marty, pay attention. Marty, what are you doing? I'd be like, oh, right, don't focus on the leaf, like, oh, whatever. But now that I'm a grown up, I can kind of do what I want to. So I let my mind wander all the time. And when my mind wanders, it picks up little ideas for stories. Does that answer your question? Yeah. So if you let your mind wander, just like do it on the weekend. Don't do it in class, but like do it on the weekend. Just like let it wander and see where it takes you. It'll probably take you somewhere cool.
What kind of bug do you like?
What kind of bug does it look like? Yeah, okay, so I thought that it was possibly either a leaf bug, or honestly it looks like it could be like one of those giant beetles that you see in the insectarium. And that's actually what I was sort of starting to work out. And then Miss Julia literally said, hey, the mayor's right here. And I was like, oh, right. Focus, get back together. Let's come over and talk to the mayor. All right, anyway, we'll do one more. Takai.
What's your favorite genre of book?
Fantasy, easy, done. I love fantasy. I love classic fantasy. I love modern fantasy. I love realistic fantasy with a little bit of a twist. Anything with a dragon in it, you got me, boo. Like I'm there. I'm at least see what's up in it. Yeah, fantasy, easy. All right, thank you guys so much. It has been so lovely to get to hang out with you and chat. I'm gonna pass it back to Miss Julia.
Can we give Miss Marti Dumas a huge round of applause? You are like the most fabulous storyteller. How many you want me to try and see if I can get Miss Marti Dumas to come back to Palestine? I don't think she's gonna come for that little bit of clap. How many should I come for? Like, can you help me out here so I can try clap as hard as you can? I want to thank you all for hanging out. Miss Marti Dumas is going to actually head on over to our table and sign some books. Are you guys okay with that? So if you already have a book, I would ask you to just follow Miss Lena and Miss Dumas over to the bookworm table. I still have some copies of some books. If you need to purchase a book, you can do that here before you head on over, okay? Again, thank you guys so much, and give Miss Marti another round of applause.